Can hear you loud and clear.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Show my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So I think what I want to do today is to show you everything or some of the things we've been talking about and practically how they fit into a particular study. So I've taken an example of this is a practical one, but I've made the name of the state and ministry to have anonymized it, called it Alexandria State. Okay. Now, so this is a study that is to estimate household healthcare expenditures. There are many reasons why this is interesting. This is important. So you want to know how much households are spending on healthcare, because they have welfare implications. Number one, according to some norms, to some benchmarks, households should not be spending more than 10% of their total income on health, or alternatively, not more than 40% of their non-food expenditures, right? That is, when you take away food expenditures from household expenditures, healthcare should not be more than 40% of the other expenditures. But if you are looking at, that's if you're using expenditures. If you're using income, healthcare should not account for more than 10% of of total household income. Anytime that the fraction of income or expenditures allocated to health exceeds that threshold, we do say that those kind of households are under what we call under what we call potentially catastrophic health spending. Okay, we say they are under potentially catastrophic health spending. That is, a situation whereby health spending can lead to impoverishment, right, of the households. Okay. So now this study is aimed at getting a good idea of how much households spend on health care. Okay. So it is it's when you can't know. You Number one, you cannot see it from going to healthcare facilities, because healthcare facilities will give you a record of people that show up in that place and how much they paid. Okay, so but you can't get how much a certain household. If a household goes to more than 3 health facilities in a period, or different members go to different places, different health facilities, how are you going to combine the numbers? And here we don't have very very good data that can allow you even trace people to say this is where they come from, this is how they come from, or to be able to link data from facility to facility and say, I can see that from that facility A and B and C, somebody from this household went there, another person from this household went to the second one, another person from this household went to the third one. So I want to take all the expenditures in those hospitals and those facilities, I want to combine them into one and see that's how much house they also spend on healthcare. It's not feasible in this environment. Okay, and at the same time, households also don't keep very good records. So, suppose every household has a diary where they're supposed to be keeping the record of their expenditures. Then we just can collect the diaries and just sum them up, right? So, but that doesn't exist. So you have to do a survey. You have to do some primary data collection. And I also have to say that that data for research comes from different sources. We talk about primary data sources, we talk about secondary data sources. So, well, people have different ways of thinking about primary and secondary. But I think a neat way to distinguish between primary and secondary is some people say it's primary if the focus of that data collection is on the particular study you are interested in. If it is that study itself that gave rise to that data collection, they say that's a primary data collection. Okay? Some people define it that way. So that any survey you are doing, right, even though you're going to collect data that other people have collected, right, you're going to agree here, and there, and so on and so forth, put together. They say that's primary data collection. And so they say that secondary ones are those that are collected for other purposes, but somebody is using for a specific purpose. Some people say that. Some people might say primary data collection is data that the investigator goes to the source to collect, rather than data that has been archived, rather than data on the shelf somewhere, right? If you are picking data on the shelf and just using, for example, if you go to pick National Living Standard surveys from the Bureau of Statistics, and you're using it for a study, is it that secondary data, right? Because you just pick it on the shelf. But if you collect it by yourself, that's primary data collection. People have different ways of thinking about it sometimes. But the way that we think about primary data collection, mainly, it's when a study team, right, designs the study, and based on the study, they go out for data collection for the study. Okay? Now, so that the data they have collected is specifically tailored to the study they have in hand. Now, a lot of studies that you see out there, they make use of existing surveys. If those surveys have all the instruments they need, all the variables they need, surveys. And then in the data section, you have to talk about how data was collected, right? Who collected it, the instrument they used, the system, the method they used to collect the data, all that you have to indicate in your paper, right, in your report. But more importantly, you can see the screen. Yes, I'm still on the first page. Sorry, I'm still on the first page. I want to give some preambles before we move on. Before I proceed, when I proceed, I will let you know that I'm proceeding, so that you can check whether my screen is moving or not. Okay. I would like to say that generally in this part of the world, there is some laziness. Maybe I shouldn't call it laziness. There is some underappreciation of the need for primary data collection. There is an underappreciation of the need for data generally. So people just feel that it is too, how do you say it? It is too expensive. It is too difficult. It is too time consuming to be going out and be collecting data, primarily doing surveys here and there on this and that and that. That there is knowledge that, because they feel that when you're collecting all those things is to help you generate knowledge, right, about certain subjects in certain settings. That there is always knowledge that has been created, knowledge that has been available from different places. Why don't you just take those knowledge and just use them, right? So that has been the problem of Africa. That has been the problem of Africa, that there is already knowledge that exists from other places, from somewhere, that we can just take the knowledge and just use. That has been the problem of African countries. And we're not out of the woods yet. Although there's a gradual appreciation of the value of data, right? But we're not there yet. Okay? So even right from independence, when our countries started becoming independent, and I think we're just unlucky that there was a UN conference just before that time. This United Nations Scientific Conference, where they they talk about knowledge for development in these newly independent countries, and how they want to be guided by knowledge from the West, where things are already more developed. So moving knowledge from the developed countries to the less developed countries. So and that, since we have countries who have already gone through the development process, and they have advanced to a stage. These countries are just coming out of the woods, just coming out of colonialism. Now they have lessons to learn from what we have done, what we've experienced in the developed societies. So that knowledge, we should harness them and make them available to people who are to these countries that are just trying to develop. So, and that was to a point. It makes sense, because that allows for knowledge diffusion. But when you do that to people that don't yet understand what they're dealing with, right? Then it becomes a problem. How do I say this? It's just like when people have underemployment problem, and then you are bringing technologies that are going to help them save time, right? You're just going to kill them off. You're going to make them less. You're going to make unemployment worse in their situation, because that tool is to help people who are already time constrained to be able to make better use of their time, right? If you bring a time saving technology, help them save time on tasks. They have a lot of people that have time on their hands that they don't know what to do with it. They're not employed, and then you are bringing technology that is supposed to help them save time, right? You just make their system worse, right? So, and because of this thing of the West trying to bring the knowledge of development down to the South to help our development, so then it happens that by way of I don't know, maybe it's laziness or so. So these countries became so dependent on knowledge from the North, from the developed countries. So, and a lot of people who are still writing, a lot of our professors, those people who are always throwing up conspiracy theories up and down, they say that the West just wants to make us perpetually dependent on them. So they created a system whereby we became dependent on them for knowledge, and so dependent on them for everything, and then they broke up. So that's why we are like this. That's why we don't have development, and they are saying showing that we are not able to do things by ourselves. That's a false conspiracy theory. I know a lot of professors in universities that say propounding this nonsense. Up and down. Whether they're the ones that didn't that say you should not create statistical agencies, for data collection. I remember that India and Nigeria were former British colonies, but Indians by themselves, they created what they call the Indian Statistical Institute right from around 1928. Even prior to independence, and they were collecting statistics, they were collecting data all the time. But we were also former British colony. The same people, they had the same philosophy that they ran here, the same thing they ran over there. But then, after independence, what happened? We fell into a trap, into some nonsense where we don't value data, where we're so dependent on the West. Come and be giving us knowledge. Whereas the Indians, who are also former British colonies, they were investing in data infrastructure, training people in statistics, and send them to in fact, filling up all their statistical agencies. When they fill them up, they started sending them, because they were just training and training. They started sending them to industries to be doing statistical quality controls, right? So today they are enjoying the benefit of all those investments. India is currently an emerging economy. African countries are not. Nigeria is not, for example. Nigeria was so if you want to say that it's British people and that sort of kept us there, or the way that kept us in that position, is a joke. I know a lot of professors assist, they assist, carrying that garbage that garbage up and down. But I mean, you should be able to diffuse it. That's just nonsense. They didn't tell you not to invest in your data infrastructure. They didn't tell you not to spend money in that data collection. Our Office of Statistics, for example, when they are staying in Lagos, I had a chance to go there at some point when I was staying in Lagos. I was looking for data for some study. And I got in there, I would see some brilliant surveys that have been designed by people. Now, it was there in Federal Office of Statistics, which is now called National Bureau of Statistics. So I got there, I will see surveys, that have been designed, but no money to fund them. Because the people that are running the country at that time, the military, they had no idea of what data meant, or whatever it is. These people, they idle, doing nothing. So there was no data. When you don't have data to give you insight, how do you want to understand your problem? So that's why right now, we don't even understand, in most cases, we don't understand our problems because we don't have sufficient investment, right, in data, in surveys, data collection. We don't have. Okay? So now, what we emphasize here at Helpman is not that you want to do a survey, go and just pick the data on the shelf. We encourage people to do primary data collection. Collect data that is suited to the question of your interest and pursue them. If there are grants here and there that you can get to do some small scale surveys. Collect the data. You'll be happy with what you are doing. You have experience. You will actually understand a setting better. If you go on the field collecting data on some subjects, look at people's attitudes, you understand where we are better than when you just sit down somewhere. We have a lot of people that are trained, that went to study economics, and all they do is just sit down by their laptops, download data from CBN, data from MBS, and then they're just desktop economists. They say they're trained in economics, just on the desk. Everything's on the desk, and they say they're in economics. They are not out there. If you define economics as a social science, right? What are they doing? They're just on the desk running regressions. But if you want to say you are an economist, you are studying demand and supply in textbooks and your table. Go out now, go and study one market, one particular good, trade demand and supply for one particular good. Go out there and study it, and you will know exactly what demand and supply looks like. Not the ones in the textbook that they're doing in a classroom. So these are some of the reasons why we think that we say that we are educated, but educated for what? A lot of people just to read and pass exams, right? It's just to read, pass exams, and then we say that we're educated. But we don't know our society, right? We don't know where we are. And then people are talking policy, some people just sit down somewhere and be saying they understand something. They understand nothing. Okay, so I'm saying that in terms of trying to understand where we are and the problems we have and how to solve it, we need this sort of inquiries, right? Sort of inquiries. So this study is actually just focused on looking at household expenditures. Okay. Now, this is a study protocol. I've changed the name of the state so that it's not obvious. I've changed some things in it so that I don't like it to be traceable to anyone. All right. So if you can see my screen very well, I'm just scrolling through the document. I'm not doing PowerPoint today. So I want to show the document and what it looks like, the way it is structured. Can anybody see my screen that I'm now on contents page?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Hello, sir.
We can hear you.
Hello?
Hello, sir. We can hear you.
Hello, sir. We can hear you, sir.
We are with you, sir. We are with you, sir.
Hello? You can see my
We are
screen.
together, sir.
You can see my screen.
Yes, we can hear you. You can see it.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
I can see it, sir.
Okay. Okay,
We can
great.
see you, sir.
All right. So, okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. So, I just want to take through the outline, right? You see the background there. You see the study objectives, the coverage of the survey, the scope, the methodology, the study design, sampling frame, procedure, sample size, how to select respondents, their collection, questionnaires, pretest, how you recruit and train emeritors and supervisors, advocacy, sensitization and mobilization, fieldwork and monitoring, contingency plans, data management, data quality control, data cleaning and analysis. Then I mentioned ethical approval, and human serious considerations. You have to put them in it to ensure that you are very clear about the risks to the study, to your study subject, because this involves going from house to house and collecting and interviewing people and recording data, right? Anything that has to do with human subjects research, you have to have an approval. We call it ethical research practices approval. Okay, then the results, and then how you want to, limitation of the study, and then the work plan. Okay, so let's go straight. So now, background, let's say this is a Word document, so it's different from the PowerPoint format I've been doing. So, but I'll just stress the very important things about it. So when you talk about health accounts is the, you have national accounts, right? National income accounts, which is a summary of the value added from every economic activities for a particular period in a country or in a location. So national income accounts have been produced at national level, at state level. You can also produce it at local government level if you have if you have a reason to do so. You can do that at LG level, you can do that state level, you can do it national level. So that's national accounts, national income accounts, to see value added from economic activities over a period of time. Now, health accounts is a similar product, right? That is being used to also estimate spending, expenditures, right? So expenditures on health, right? And it's an important tool for healthcare policy and planning, right? So it helps to answer a lot of policy questions, and then so it also gives an idea of money spent on healthcare, who is funding it. How are they collected? How are they pooled? How are they channeled into delivery system? Who is managing it? And what kind of diseases are we taking care of? What kind of disease is taking most of our air spending, in terms of which is more prominent, right? And then a lot of other questions that can derive from it. Now, it so happens that because here in this country, health insurance, for example, is still underdeveloped. The coverage is still very low, coverage of health insurance and other kind of prepayment for health. Now, let me tell you generally about health expenditures. So, health expenditures are either prepaid or out of pocket. So when I say prepaid, that is, you have paid money to a scheme, or which can be an insurance scheme. You have paid a premium to an insurance scheme, to an insurance coverage, so that anytime you have a need to go to the hospital to seek medical attention, anytime you have a need to use medical services, you do not have to pay at that time of using it, okay? Because you already paid some money. That is, you have prepaid. You already paid some money in advance, right? In advance. Now, that is what we call prepayment, okay? Prepayment for healthcare. When you buy a health insurance and you are paying premium, if you pay annual premium, for example, you pay it once. Every monthly premium, you are paying monthly. But most of the policies now, they do annual premium, so that you pay your premium once. So once you have a health insurance, you have a package of healthcare services you are entitled to. It gives you access to healthcare anytime you need it, so that you pay the premium and you are covered. You anytime you have a need, you go to the healthcare facility, and they will attend to you, because they just call your insurer and say, please confirm to us that this person is enrolled in your insurance plan. Yes, it's enrolled. Okay, the person is here, and it's going to get there for this and that. Should we go ahead? Yes, go ahead. And they will treat you without you having to pay. All right? Now, if the service you are going to be treated for is not included in the package of services, you will pay. You will pay. Now, that if you have to pay for a service that's not included in your package, in your insurance package, that payment you are doing there we call it out-of-pocket payment or point-of-service payment. Whether you call it out-of-pocket payment or point-of-service payment is the same. That is money you pay at the point of getting care. Money you pay, like cash and carry. You know what cash and carry is? You pay and you get what you pay for, right? Money you pay that way for healthcare purpose is referred to as out-of-pocket or OOP. Okay? Out-of-pocket expenditures. OOP. Out-of-pocket OOP. Okay? Now, don't say, but the money I pay for, I used to pay for premium. Maybe it's also for my pocket. No, that's not the reason. That's not why I call that out-of-pocket. It is true that it is your money you are using to pay for the premium. But the idea is that you have paid for that premium in advance. You have paid that premium in advance to get your cover, to get your coverage. You are not paying that money at the time you are getting the service. So it is money you are paying at the time of getting the service we refer to as out-of-pocket payment or point-of-service payment. I hope it is clear. I want to make sure this is clear now to people that are listening right now. Because a lot of people, even the other people in the health sector, they still don't understand the difference between out-of-pocket spending and what's not out-of-pocket spending. Okay? So, a particular state now, the Alexandria State, wants to estimate its current levels of household out-of-pocket expenditures on health, right? And because it's an important part of the health accounts of the state, it wants to measure catastrophic expenditure levels, healthcare utilization patterns and challenges, and then willingness to pay for financial risk insurance and prepayment schemes, right? And other relevant health behaviors. Okay, so financial risk protection and prepayment schemes are known to support greater and more effective utilization of healthcare services and ultimately improvement in health outcomes, right? But the coverage remains very low, even when households are willing to pay for the needed protection from catastrophic and impoverishing healthcare expenditures. Okay. So, and also the issue now is this: in terms of, I've told you about payment for healthcare through health insurance, in which case you pay premium, and then you are covered, so that when you need service, you just get the service without having to pay for them, provided the service is inside the packet of services you are that you're insured for. So, money you spend paying premium is not out-of-pocket expenditure. Even though you say, if I'm my pocket, I'm the one paying for myself. No, that's not out-of-pocket expenditure. That is a prepayment. A prepayment. So the one that is called out-of-pocket expenditure is the one you pay at the point where you are getting the service, the cash and carry payment. That's what we call out-of-pocket payment, okay, or point-of-service payment. So healthcare generally, the financing of healthcare, how we pay for healthcare in the country, we have government is paying for healthcare. Government at federal, state, and local levels are paying for healthcare, are financing healthcare. Households are financing healthcare. Households are financing healthcare. Businesses, that's corporations, they are financing healthcare. Okay. Donors, right? Donors and NGOs, they are financing healthcare as well. Those are the four major sources of financing for healthcare: government, households and individuals, corporations, right, and donors and non-governmental organizations. So those are the four major sources of healthcare resources, healthcare financing, right? Okay. So this study, the primary objective is to assess current levels of financial protection and the out-of-pocket expenditure, which are direct payments that made by individuals to providers at the point of service. it excludes any prepayment for health services, okay? Then second objectives are you want to see house utilization of healthcare services. You want to see willingness to pay for healthcare financial protection. You want to estimate catastrophic payments for healthcare. I defined it before. I said when healthcare expenditure is more than 10% of your income, of the household income, we say that level of spending on healthcare is catastrophic. That's a threshold defined by the World Bank. Also, there's another threshold defined by the World Health Organization that says that if you are spending more than 40% of your non-food expenditures, that is, after you remove food expenditures, if you look at other expenditures and spending on health is more than 40% of all the other categories of expenditures, you are spending too high. You are being exposed to the risk of catastrophic expenditures for health. Okay, I hope it's clear. All right. Now, survey coverage, 9 local government areas. Out of all local government areas in the state, by the particular state, you have to randomly select the 9 local government areas. The scope of survey, a wide range of socioeconomic and healthcare areas highlighted in a questionnaire to be used. Now, the questionnaire has several sections: identification information, introduction of the survey, and the consent of the person you are interviewing. It's part of ethical research ethical conduct of research. You cannot interview somebody without getting the consent of that person to participate in the interview. And if the person wants to drop out, you cannot force the person to continue. If the person goes with you to section 4 and says, I'm tired, I can't do it again, you cannot force the person to go all with you to go through the whole thing section 9. You have to stop the person. You have to stop the survey and move to the next person. So you cannot force people to respond to your surveys. Okay, it's part of ethical practice. So you have household roster. You take a roster of everybody. You list everybody in the household, and then you collect data on some characteristics of everybody in the household. Once you select that household, you do that. Now, you want to collect. There's a module for health service utilization. There's a module for inpatient services use and expenditures. Inpatient means when somebody is admitted into a hospital, right? Outpatient is when somebody just visits and comes back. Okay. So somebody just go to the hospital, just do some tests, and then do some tests. Doctor saw you and prescribed some drugs. You went to pharmacy and collected it. You want to buy it. That's outpatient service. But in the case whereby somebody is admitted and is being put into bed for more than 24 hours, that one is classified as inpatient. But sometimes they want to put somebody in bed and just observe for a few hours, right? Maybe for about 5 or 6 hours or 8 hours. That's not inpatient service. It's still outpatient. The person is outpatient because the person is not admitted for more than 24 hours. The person is not put on bed for more than 24 hours for observation. But when somebody is put on bed and is admitted to the hospital for more than 24 hours, that person is considered an inpatient. Okay. So inpatient use and expenditures, outpatient use and expenditures, willingness to pay for healthcare, for health insurance, right? That one is addressed to the head of household only. Passive quality of healthcare services. Then household characteristics, the respondent is head of household only. Then household consumption in last month and last year, head of household only. So these are the sections of the questionnaire that's to be used, okay, for this study. Can anybody see my screen that I am now at methodology?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so in the last class, we talked about study design, right? And we saw the different kinds of study designs. Okay, now this one in particular will be a cross section. As you see there, the study will utilize a cross section, household survey in the state. Okay, a cross-sectional household survey. Okay, and when I say cross-section, I mean you want to observe, you want to collect data from several households at the same time. Several households at the same time. If you are going to collect data on a selected household over a period of time, that one is longitudinal survey, not cross-sectional survey. A cross-sectional survey is where you collect data on a cross-section of households at the same time, at the same period. But when you select a set of households and you want to collect data on them over a period of time, that's longitudinal. You want to observe them over time. Okay, so this is cross-sectional. So adults 18 and above will be interviewed to collect information on demographics, asset wealth creation, and expenditures, and so on and so forth. So now, that's the studies design, cross-sectional design, cross-sectional household survey. That's the design. Now, what about the sampling strategy? It will follow the sampling strategy used for the Nigerian Demographic and Health Survey. And if you read those surveys, you understand. Please take a look at those surveys. And when you pick a survey, the first thing you need to do for you to be able to have some confidence in the results, right, and in the reports, look at the design, the study design, and be very sure that you understand how the survey was done, because the way you interpret the results is a function on how the survey was designed and it was done. A lot of people don't read those sections. When they read survey reports, they don't read those sections, and those sections are very important to be read and to be understood. So now, what this note says that the sampling strategy of those surveys, they were designed to produce reliable estimates for key indicators at national level, as well as to urban and rural areas, right? Okay. Now, based on the sample design, we apply state-level sampling strategy and stratify by districts, by urban and rural areas. So you have stratification. Is somebody raising up a hand? Let me see. Okay. Is someone raising up a hand? Jaffa?
It's a mistake, sir.
Huh?
That was a mistake.
It was a mistake. Okay. No problem. Let me go back. Okay. So it's sampling frame. Sampling frame. So now this is where the nitty-gritty comes in here. This is because if you attempt to do a study, a survey, you need to have a sampling frame in your mind. Now, this is how they do household surveys in the country at national and state levels. So, number one, there is something we call enumeration areas that the National Bureau of Statistics has defined. Within the enumeration areas, you have households. So you get that list of enumeration areas is available with the National Bureau of Statistics and also National Population Commission. Those two have them. But ideally, you know that it was generated by National Population Commission because they're the ones involved in collecting census data. So they're the ones who design, who go do census, and they develop the maps of where households are, and the list of the households that the ones that is NPC, NPOC, and now NPC, Population Commission, that the ones that develop that. So that the custodian of that sketch maps and the enumeration areas and household listing, they are the ones that are the custodian of that. National Population Commission, not National Bureau of Statistics. So NBS, we have to collect it from them. right? Because they are the original owners of it. So now, in the country, in Nigeria, you know that every state is divided into 3 senatorial districts. If you don't know that, please know now. That's how our politics runs, right? So there are, how many senators are in the country? Is it like 108 or 109? 3 from every state. 3 times 36. That's 108. I think plus 1 from FCT, is it? All right. So, sorry by the noise. So, so every state is divided into 3 senatorial districts. Now, this particular state has 21 local government areas. And as I said before, we're going to select only 9 local government areas. And then the local government areas are further subdivided into census enumeration areas. That's CEAs or EAs for short. That's why I said it's a census-driven thing. So the custodian is the National Population Commission. So there's probably now that indicates number of local government areas and enumeration areas for that state, and then the average number of inhabitants, right? Average number of people. Okay. In an enumeration area. So a list of the enumeration areas with their corresponding maps will be collected from a population commission. So now, what you do is this. So when after you select enumeration areas, right? And then you do a household listing, you carry it out, and then you leverage on experience of and knowledge of that particular state Bureau of Statistics, National Bureau of Statistics and Population Commission in making a selection of households. So in this particular state, Alexandria State, there are 21 local government areas, and there are 21,107 enumeration areas. So as I said, enumeration areas are within LGAs. So now, average EA size, average number of individuals in the enumeration area is 190. Average number of people in the these are all provided by hold on, please. Just a minute. Okay, I'm back. So okay. In the enumeration areas, the average size of individuals is average number of individuals 190. Okay. Now, this is sampling procedure. Sampling procedure. So, or some people call it sampling design. Now, this, you'll be hearing about random sampling, non-random sampling, right? And then different types of random sampling, different types of non-random sampling. In random sampling, you talk about simple random sampling, you talk about systematic random sampling, you talk about cluster random sampling, and so on and so forth. And in non-random sampling, you talk about proposal sampling, you talk about this one, you're just going to go and stand somewhere. I forgot the name now. All right. Now, but you can have, in a study, what we do, as I said, if you cast your mind back to the issue of randomization, randomization is important for your results to give us an idea that you have a random sample. In fact, in statistics, everything about statistics is about randomization. It's about randomization. But the question is always how random is actually random? How random is the random itself? When you're collecting samples in statistics, it's assumed that you are collecting random samples, right? So in everything, we want to ensure that you are doing some randomization. So, but in some cases, you may not be able to do simple random sampling. You may have to stratify. You may have to, in fact, do different stages, go through different stages in order to get to a random sample. Okay. Now, this one will be 3-stage. Okay. The first stage, you do a stratified random sampling of the local government areas. That is, you put local government areas within their senatorial districts, and since there are 3 senatorial districts, I want to select 9 local government areas. A number of local government areas in each of the districts may not be the same. So you want to select, since they may vary. They may not be the same in each district. They may be the same. They may not be the same. But what you want to do is that you want the sample to be representative at the state level, right? Therefore, since you have 3 senatorial districts, you want to select only 9 LGAs, you will select 3 LGAs from each senatorial district, right? So you have to first of all stratify the LGAs into their senatorial districts, and within each senatorial district, randomly select 3, okay, LGAs. Please hold on, please. Somebody's making noise here. Let me go and get a noise. Okay. Okay. Can you see my screen? All right. So is my screen back on? Jaffa, quickly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So the first stage, you do because you have 3 senatorial areas, you want to select 9 LGAs, so 3 senatorial districts, and then you also select 3 from each district. Okay. Now, the second stage, you will select enumeration areas within the LGAs using probability proportional to size PPS strategy. If you can go online to sort of read about that. Probability proportional to size strategy, sampling strategy. It's not very common out there, but it's used because you want a sampling strategy that will ensure that what you come out with is unbiased, right? In terms of the estimates, because nobody wants to come out with biased estimates that people look at the methodology and say this is biased, right? In statistics, we talk about blue estimates, right? Best linear unbiased estimates, blue. Best linear unbiased estimates. That's what we want. Although we also want some usual, efficient estimates and so on and so forth. But that's fine. But let's start with blue to start with. Now, this third stage now is that once you select enumeration areas, then you will now do systematic random sampling of the households. systematic random sampling. Not simple random sampling, but systematic random sampling. This one says systemic, but systematic I'm talking about. No, the first stage will be stratified random sampling of LGAs within central districts, and then other parameters. In the second stage, the sample LGAs that we have selected will be stratified into urban and rural areas and EAs and clusters. And then EAs and clusters will be selected using PPS for each stratum of selected LGAs. Then you develop a household listing for each of the EAs. And then in the third stage, a fixed number of households will be selected in every urban and rural clusters through random sampling based on the household list. Now, when you talk about systematic random sampling, this is what you do. Maybe you've heard before. If you do a random sampling, just write the name of every household, or the number of the household, just put them in the basket and just draw randomly, right? Just put them in a basket and just pick a number. Let's say there are 20 households there. You want to select 10, right? So just write numbers 1 to 20, put in the basket, and just draw 10 out of it, okay? So that 10 is your simple random sample, right? Just blind to anything. But sometimes that may not work for you. That may not really help, really be appropriate. Because as I said, your sampling, your design, study design has to be appropriate for for your subject of inquiry. If it's not appropriate for it, people will tell you that it's not good enough. So for some designs, a simple random sample will just be okay when you're trying to select households. But for some other designs, particularly in this one, a simple random sampling will not be okay because you can select houses that are clustered just one place in the enumeration area. Okay, it can lead you to select houses that are clustered just in one corner of the area. But what you want to do is that you want to ensure that the house you are picking cut across all the clusters within that enumeration area. So what you do is that you list all the households 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, up until you get to the last one in the enumeration area. Then, suppose there are 50 households there. I want to select 10. There are 50 households, you want to select 10. So, which means that you want to select 1 out of every 5, right? 1 out of every 5. So what you do is that you start with the first 5 households. You pick one at random. You pick any number at random, right? Because, as I said, let's say there are 50 households. I want to select 10 out of the 50. I'm just describing how you do systematic random sampling. 50 households together, you want to select 10, which means you want to select 1 in every 5. So if you want to do systematic random sampling, what you do is that the first 5 numbers 1 to 5, you randomly select 1. Let's assume you select number 3. That's the only one you need to select randomly. So what you do then is that since you select number 3, and you know then you go and select number 8, right? Because you're adding 5, because you want to pick 1 in every 5, right? So once you locate the position of the first one, the first household, that's number 3, and you've listed all the households. Number 3, you go and select number 8, right? The interval of 5. Go and select number 13, number 18, number 23, number 28, number 33, number 38, number 43, number 48. That's the 10 households. That's systematic sampling. Hello? Does that make sense? Let me say it again. Systematic random sampling, right? You do a listing of all the elements, right, of the given population, a listing of all the elements. Now, how many are there altogether? Assume there are 50. I want to select a sample of 10 out of 50. 50 over 10, that gives you 5, which means that you want to select 1 in every 5. 1 in every 5 household you want to select. So the first 5, pick the first 5 and select randomly select 1 out of the 5. The first 5 households. Select 1 randomly. Once you identify the position of that household. Now, you don't need to select randomly in every other 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. What just say you'll be jumping by 5, jump by 5, jump by 5. So, let's say, as I say, let's say you select number 3. You can't then, you're not sampling anymore. You're just picking based on the interval and the first one selected. If you number 3, because the interval of 5, you go to number 8, number 13, number 18, number 23, number 28, number 33, number 38, number 43, number 48. That's it. That's how you do systematic random sampling. Okay. Sample size. So, total of 9 AGAs are sampled across the 3 senatorial districts. At least you want that to be 3 AGAs per senatorial district. You are sampling 3 AGAs in each district. Then 11 elimination areas are selected in each of the 9 sample AGAs, so that you have a total of 99 elimination areas. If you are sampling 11 elimination areas in each of the 9 AGAs, that gives you a total of 99 elimination areas. Now, if you select 10 households per elimination area, that gives you another 90 households altogether. 990 households. So this is how it is now. So in the state, then there's urban and rural differences, right? You've also seen that. So those are also factored into the calculation. So the elimination areas, 61 urban, 38 rural, 99. The households, 610, 380, 990. So this is a sampling, right? So everything from the beginning of this section up to this point is your sampling design. And people have to look, anybody reading your report will look at this and see how reasonable, how really appropriate it is to design the sample district based on the subject of your interest. Okay, so now we are done with how we want to select the samples. Now, that's in terms of sample of households, right? Now, in the households, you also have to talk to the respondents. Is anybody raising a hand? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Faith,
I want to ask that, are you going to, like this file, this document, is it going to be sent to the group for better understanding and study?
Okay. As much as possible, I will try to make sure that the identity of the source is not, I work hard to make sure it's not revealed, and then share it. Okay?
Okay, thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
You're welcome. All right. Okay. So now, so we want to interview all adults 18 years and above, right? Will be interviewed. Okay. Now, women with children, keep listening. So we want to interview all adults 18 and above in selected households separately for all modules of the questionnaire, excluding household characteristics, willingness to pay, and consumption, which we say we had administered only to household heads. Now, when you're interviewing respondents, women with children, how are you going to interview them? So, women with children, we interviewed on their own health-seeking practices as well as those of their children. So, because you want to collect information on everybody in the household. So, women with children, the women will answer for themselves and for their children. Okay. Now, the adult members will be asked about their own characteristics, utilization, expenditures, health-seeking behaviors. For children, you ask their mothers, right? So, all eligible adults will be interviewed upon the first visit. When somebody is absent, you will come back to the household to complete, or you call in. You use a mobile phone to interview the person if available, and then if available and allowed by the household respondent. Otherwise, you will delete the contact number. Now, there are instances where you want to interview women, and part of research ethics is that if you are interviewing women, sometimes you want them to sometimes you don't want the husbands to interfere with the conversation. And sometimes you think that they will be afraid of their husbands in responding to you. Or sometimes the children can be disturbing. And so you have to find a way to take care of the children to ensure that they are comfortable when you are doing the survey, asking another question. So your ethical considerations must address all these peculiarities before it can pass, before it will be approved, before your research will be approved. If you do not say clearly exactly how you're going to address all those issues, they will not approve it. I mean, those who know what they're doing, they will not approve it. Okay. So now let's go to data collection. So interviews will be conducted at a respondent's home at the location where he or she feels comfortable. In line with the global best practice, the study instrument will be developed and reviewed by the study team to ensure that the information collected is relevant to the research objectives and policy interests, therefore making the best use of the respondents' time in the survey. The household head and men or women above 18 years that are usual residents of the household are eligible to be interviewed for the survey. The interview is expected to last for approximately 45 to 60 minutes for the head and 30 minutes for other adult household members. The survey will be administered in English language or language best understood by the respondent. Okay. So the questionnaire, 11 sections. So everything is written out here, listed out here. So, and the modules will be based on questions that have been used in the demographic survey and national living standard surveys. Okay, you will administer the questionnaire using Android application and mobile phones or tablets through electronic platform and synchronized with the web-based survey CTO platform. Data will be collected will be analyzed, reviewed, and finalized with coordination from relevant stakeholders. Okay, and before you go and do the survey, you need to pre-test your questionnaire to see whether the questions and responses are valid and reliable, whether they are appropriate, whether they are necessary and sufficient, whether the sections and the questions have a logical flow. I said logical flow, right? Whether the skips instructions are correct, whether there are question order effects, and so on and so forth. So, and then other issues. So when you pre-test, if anytime you want to do a primary survey, you have to, when you develop the questionnaire, the instrument, you have to pre-test it. If you don't pre-test it, so I can correct, you can adjust, you can correct for all the possible flaws in it. And you're going to use it for the survey, you will come back with flawed data, bad data. And you will not, and the purpose of the survey will be defeated, and you just hate the whole thing, that you just wasted your time if you don't test that instrument. At least there are instances of people of surveys that the questionnaires were not pre-tested, and it led to a fight between the principal investigator and the person who helped to conduct the survey. It was a big fight, so we had to settle it by ordering a fresh survey in which we went back to the instrument and revised and pre-tested before we went to the field. So don't make the mistake of going to use some questionnaires to collect data so pre-test means that you test the questionnaire on a sample of respondents that are not going to be part of the main respondent to the survey. So you find some other people and administer the questionnaires to them and see what you learn from the way that the survey went, and then you come and use that evidence, come and review it when necessary. Okay. So you also have to recruit and train enumerators and supervisors. So you want to recruit enumerators from people that have experience pool, where you can find them, and you want to find people that are knowledgeable about populations, survey methodology and practices. So what are the criteria? Here we said minimum of BSc HND in relevant discipline subjects, experience population-based survey, good communication skills, familiarity with the study environment, ability to speak local language in the study area, experience in the use of electronic data collection, which will be an advantage, although you'll be trained. So in this case, three teams because there are three.
Hi, you are yes, sir.
You can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen, sir.
Okay, all right. Thank you. I wasn't aware that my screen logged me out. So I just kept, I was just going. Okay. So in terms of study team, okay, people that have experience, people that meet these conditions, then we recruited 7 people
No, sir.
per team, and 7 people will be 1 supervisor and 6 enumerators. So supervisor is one that's supposed to be overseeing them, make sure they're doing the right thing and addressing their issues. You can see my screen?
We can see it, sir.
Okay.
Not seeing his name, but they only see your face, sir.
Only my face? Wow. Okay, let me.
Now we can see the.
Let me get out of sharing screen and.
But I can see the screen.
You can see it now?
Yes. Yes, I can see the screen.
Okay. Okay, so I was here about training of the enumerators and the qualifications, right, for them to be able to participate, and they'll be trained anyway. So, but in terms of the numbers, 6 enumerators and 1 supervisor, and then they will participate in a 5-day training program, 5 days. So the 5th day will be for the pilot test. If you do not test an instrument, please don't go to the field and go and start using it. It will be disastrous. Okay. Don't use it. Don't, if you develop an instrument, I have not tested it. Even if you develop an instrument based on existing instruments, and you not test it for your use, don't go and use it. If you can use it, you're looking for crisis. You're looking for trouble. Because, I mean, as some of my colleagues here know that there was a study that was done, and that actually caused a fight between the investigator and the person who led the survey, because I think the survey wasn't tested. The instrument wasn't tested appropriately. So, and we had to sort of come in and do the whole thing again. But the first thing we did was to take the survey instruments and go over it and review it and then test it to ensure that it works. And then, so before the survey was done again, and then everybody was happy. Okay, so the training content will include the survey, introduction to the survey, you read the questionnaires, use of the computer-assisted personal interview device, logistics, roles for enumerators and supervisors, understanding the survey, interviewing techniques, ethical considerations, and informed consent, data security, and so on and so forth, all of them. So the participants will be the people that will do the training, will be people that have experience in doing surveys. And then the objectives are to understand data collection techniques and then understand the questionnaire in content and purpose. Because if we don't understand if you want to put people on the field to go and do a survey for you, the worst thing that can happen to you is for the people that are going to be administering the surveys not to understand the purpose of the survey, not to understand what the question is aimed at getting. They will come back with nonsense for you, and data will be useless for you. So you need to train them, let them understand it, so that when they ask a question to someone and the person is not giving them the right answers, they can probe again, right? Because they're not getting, they can't say that the person understand the question because of the answer the person is giving. Okay. So then the other thing now is this. Before you go and start doing survey, you need to have sensitization, right, in the area. You need to see the consent of the community leaders, right? Traditional leaders, community leaders. You need to get their consent you need to make them understand the purpose of the survey, right? What you're trying to do, why, and what the benefit of it for them. And then they need to give you somebody who will guide you to the community. Okay? Without that, you can't just jump into the community and say, I want to come and do survey, I want to come and collect data. It won't work. All right. So now the field work and monitoring, as we said, a team of 6 enumerators and 1 supervisor who will be sort of supervising them, monitor what they're doing, addressing their issues and concerns. The supervisor is always a more experienced person, right? A more experienced person. Now, because these days now, even if we use paper-based questionnaires, everything now is being entered into electronic device, basically. So in the device, the people that will design the questionnaire, they're already building quality control, quality checks, right, to ensure that if you enter the wrong figure, you move forward at the wrong things, right? So, and then as data is being collected, it's being reviewed. Data collected is being transmitted on daily basis and being reviewed, and then feedback is being provided for anywhere that the reviewer sees some discrepancies or things that need further explanations. Now, as we said, you need to have a contingency plan. For instance, when you are doing training, as I said up there, you need 21 enumerators. You want 21 people on the field to go and collect data for you. A supervisor and 6 enumerators per senatorial district. I have 3 senatorial districts, making 21 people all together. You want 21 people to do the survey for you. But you can't just train 21. Because if you train 21, chances are somebody will lose his relative and has a burial that week and will not show up. Or somebody's friend or sister is getting married and should not show up. Or one occasion will happen, will not show up. So to give room, to allow, in order to avoid embarrassment and disruption of your survey, you need to have a contingency plan. So in this case now, they will recruit more than required. They will train more than required enumerators. They will invite more people than they need for the training. People that satisfy the requirements, they be listed out. They will invite them for the training and train them. Part of the training, they will give them the per diem, everything for the training. And they'll put them on show up. They will call them up to come and replace that person. Okay. So you also have to provide for bad weather and responding to not available, and you have callback. So be prepared to conduct survey at unconventional times, dictated by weather. In case of bad weather, for example, enumerators will also be equipped with kits, umbrella, raincoats, and so on and so forth. Now, there's also a security issue. So if an enumeration area is not accessible due to security challenges, a replacement enumeration area will be selected. That's it. Then you talk about data management, how you want to manage the data, right? How you want to take it from the appliance device you use to collect the data into your server for analysis and so on and so forth. Data quality control that you put in there, right? You have to describe everyone, all of them. So you have to check the selected households. You have to make sure that all households have a unique serial number. You have to double check each interview that's completed. Then you have to give an instruction manual to the enumerators, right? So that they read and be up to date. They can be apprised with how they should respond to different situations. Okay. Now, you have to clean the data. It depends on the software you want to use, and then you have to analyze the data. Okay. How do you want to analyze data? The kind of a multi-analysis plan will develop one survey instrument to analyze. So you will analyze the data, and the software you want to use for analysis is stated there. Basic probability weights to be a calculator for each sample cluster. Analysis will be determined to determine the size and character of the target population, and sounds for you weigh the response. You come up with some descriptive characteristics of the target population. using proportions and means, and then you present the main findings of the study. Through cross-tabulation of data will be done to assess interaction between two multiple variables. Assessing the expenditures, sometimes for willingness to pay, blah, 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 all that. Let me come to ethical approval now, which is very, very critical. Any study you are doing that in which you have to interact with humans or animals, you must have ethical approval. It's actually ethical research practices approval. That's what it means. So there is what we call the National Health Research Ethics Committee in Nigeria. And also they are also available at the state level. Okay? You will submit a letter to them. Okay. So the last part now is ethical approval. So to do any survey in which you have contact with humans or animals, you must submit your protocol, clearly indicating how you want to address every ethical issue in the study, and send it to the ethics review board at the state where you are working, and then they'll get back to you whether it's approved or not. If they find that you have not addressed some issues, they will call you and ask you to address them. And once you address them, they will approve. Please note, once the ethical review board has approved your protocol, you cannot change anything in that protocol. If you want to change anything in that protocol, you have to go back to them to reauthorize the change. So which means that you have to think through your study very well. Okay? So study personnel will be trained on relevant aspects of good ethical standards. All potential study participants shall be informed about the objectives, methods, and benefits of the harm of the research. They are right to abstain from participating in the study at any time, even during the course of the study. And then the responses are confidential. Make sure you give everybody adequate information. Now the risks. So if you anticipate any risk, you have to state it here, and then how you're going to deal with the risk. In this case now, we do not anticipate any serious physical, mental, or social risks because of participation in the research. Okay. Benefits. Are there benefits to the participants? You have to declare them upfront. There is some benefit for individual participation in the study. Okay. So, it benefit communities and other communities in the state as information we use to develop relevant policies and programs. Okay. Compensation, no compensation. Informed consent, yes. Verbal informed consent will be obtained by the moderator for more participants in the study. Blah, blah, blah. Privacy and confidentiality, yes. Adverse events, yes. Results, I don't terminate results, you have to state it. This is final report and share with the state government. Bam. Limitations, you have to state everything. It will only capture a cross-section of information from respondents. Okay. While cross-section data can be informative, it doesn't provide information on changes over time or possible differences due to seasonality. Users are also subject to recall bias due to various recall periods of utilization and expenditure behaviors. Furthermore, the sampling methodology requires consideration of both cost and feasibility, which will make the result not very generalizable to the entire population. Okay, so that's the end of this document. So the other thing that are not here, which will take a lot of time to go through the work plan and the budget and so on and so forth, right? So I just want to show you in practice an example of how the things we've discussed are done in practical terms in relation to a particular subject. So that's the sense of sharing this with you today. Okay, so any question or comments? Over.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your class. I think we have time now. If you have any question, you can ask.
Any questions or comments? Seems there's none. Okay, so in the absence of questions, comments, I think, yeah. So the next set of classes now will be on writing. So one thing that we also need to do is to get back to you on your proposals, so that you can turn them into projects. Okay, so you have to go through each of them, each of the submission, and help you and think along with you, and then turn it into a project that is doable. All right. Okay. So that process is ongoing now. So as we go through it, we'll be reaching out to the specific individuals who submitted the proposals, and then so that you can start working on them. So if there are questions, no questions for now. So we'll meet again. So on Wednesday. Okay, Jaffa, any closing thoughts?
Not for me, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you all.
All right.